Hi everyone, welcome to Arduino build number one. In this build, we're going to make an LED blink on and off forever. So to do this, we need an Arduino, we need a 220 ohm resistor, and we need an LED. In real life, the resistors that you're going to use are blue. New LEDs are blue. The old LEDs, like when I was a kid, or even older than that, I suppose I'm not that old, were tan. So don't worry about the color change there. It's just this is like kind of outdated. Um, but this is just a simulation that I'm going to show you that will, work for us. So on the LED, one thing you need to be aware of is that there are both a positive and negative side. The positive, aka anode, is the long leg, and it is also, if you see, like this is a zoomed in picture, one side is flat and one side is round around the bulb itself. The round side has the long leg, which is denoted by the bend in the leg in this simulation. And the short leg is the cathode is the negative. So we need to put those into our breadboard somewhere. Another point worth noting here is that if you look at whenever I hover over a hole in the breadboard, you can see that it like circles all the other holes in that row. That's to show you that everything in a row is connected. So this first hole in line 6 is connected to every other hole in line 6, but it's not connected to any other rows. So if I take the positive leg of the LED, and I put that, let's say, in row 8, I should connect the positive side of a circuit to row 8. The negative side, the cathode, is in row 7. So I should put the negative wire in row 7. Okay. The directions are going to show you that you should take your resistor. Once you plug in your LED, then we deal with the positive side first. So I'm going to take an orange wire, plug it in from the positive side of my LED, put it in the same row as that positive side, and then plug it into pin number 3 on the Arduino. Okay. Then I'm going to take, after that, I'm going to take my resistor, put it in the same row as my negative side of the LED, and connect it to this what we call the negative oh boogers, I can't remember the name right now. Oh, that's gonna bug me. But yeah, this thing. So like it's a negative rail, that's the word. Negative rail. So this whole rail, going from top to bottom, is connected. We use this to gather all the negatives in one place. We can also do that with a positive, but that's kind of for something else. We'll get to that in later builds. But for now, we're going to get in the habit of using the negative rail. And every time you are sending electricity to ground, the negative side, you can see that this negative is black and like all that sort of stuff. We use black wires. That's just a standard convention. So I'm going to take this, put a black wire in the same negative rail, and plug it into ground. GND stands for ground. Okay, so there we go. If I start the simulation, you can see that nothing happens. Nothing's happening because there is no code on here. We don't have any code on here, so we need to do that next. So if you open up a new sketch on Arduino, you'll see void setup, void loop. and you'll see these squigglies kind of by themselves. All this is lovely and it's awesome and it's super great, and you don't want to mess with any of this right now. All you're going to do, put your cursor before void setup, hit enter a few times, give yourself some space. Next, every time you start a code, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a comment in order to tell ourselves what we're trying to do. So let's add a comment. How do we do that? We do // Okay, so let's give a note for ourselves, a comment to let ourselves know in the future when we go back to try to read this. What are we doing here? We are going to make an LED blink on and off. So how do we actually do this? Well, step one, we need to tell Arduino what we plugged into it. Well, what did we plug? We plugged in an LED. So we need to tell it what we plugged in and what and where we plugged stuff into it. Sorry, bad at English. Okay, so tell Arduino what and where we plugged stuff into it. So we need to tell Arduino that we plugged an LED into it in pin number 3, because that's where it's connected. We have this pin like 3 that is connected to this LED. How do we do that? Well, we're going to start with int LED 1 equals 3 semicolon. What did I just do there and why? The integer int, that basically is just telling Arduino, hey, you need to remember a number, a whole number. This whole number is the pin location of where we plugged it in, and we're just giving it a name, so that way we can reference it later. Like this LED's name is now LED1. So that way if I say, hey Arduino, turn LED1 on, it knows I'm talking about the LED that we plugged into pin 3. That's all that means. Okay, so we now told Arduino that we plugged an LED into it and where it is, so we're good to go and get set up. So if we click inside the void setup, never get rid of the squiggly brackets. You always need them. They're our friends. Don't get rid of them. Get inside there and hit tab. Okay, so inside there, let's give ourselves some space. I'm going to add a new comment. This is step 2. Let's set the mode for the pin. So Arduino can turn LED on. So by default, Arduinos take electricity in, and so if we're not using the pins as an input, like as in they're bringing electricity in through the wires, then we need to tell it to send electricity out. And that's essentially what we need to do here. We need to say, hey, take electricity, send it through here, push it through the LED, and make it turn on. So here's how we do that. We're going to use, and here I'll actually give you another comment. We're going to use the pin mode command, and that's with a capital M. This sets the mode on pins. So the syntax or the format that we should actually do this is pin mode. Give it a name, like the name of the thing. So the name of this LED is LED1. That's what we just did up here. So we're going to put a name in, and then we're going to give a mode. And modes are always in all capitals. The mode we're going to use this time, the mode for LEDs is called output, basically because we're putting electricity out for the LEDs to use. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in actual code. Let's write pin mode, and we're going to type the name of the tool that we're trying to power or use, which is LED1. And now we need to type in the mode, which is output. Okay, and that line with the semicolon. I don't know if I said this like 2 minutes ago, but every line of code that you're ever going to write is always going to end with a semicolon. There are a couple types of lines of code where you don't actually use that, but we'll talk about those in different later builds. They're a bit more advanced. We're not there yet. So now we told Arduino, hey, you have an LED plugged into pin 3. You're going to put electricity out to it. What do we do next? Well, one other thing that we typically do in the setup portion, we run a test. So let's just, before we invest a whole lot more time writing more code, so far we've only written 2 lines actually. Let's run a test to make sure we're on the right track. So step 3, let's turn LED on and off for a second to make sure it's all good. Okay, how do we do that? Writing a signal to a pin use digital write command. Okay, so this is the command that we're going to use. It kind of follows the same format as the pin mode command. Let's add another line for syntax or the format. So the syntax of this command goes digital write, give it a name, and then give it a like signal value. Like what do you want it to do basically? Okay, so in this case, and information, the values, they can be high or low. So high would turn the LED on, low would turn it off. So let's write a signal to the pin to turn the LED on. So digital write LED1 high. That will turn the LED on. And then let's just stop there for now and let us compile this code. Let's hit verify. It's going to ask us to save. We'll call this blink. Call it Blinky Boy. Okay, it's going to run. What it's doing is checking all my code. Okay, it's compiled. And normally at this point, what you would do is go to port, look for COM. This is what you'll be doing for you, and then hitting upload. But you can't see me right now, so you can't see that the LED has just turned on. So what I'm going to do, just to prove that this is working for the purposes of this video, I'm going to copy the code, come over here, get rid of all this stuff. Ugh. Okay, here we go. So I just put all this code over here. Let's start the simulation. Oh, look, the LED is on. Let's stop. Let's just do it again. Okay, so that works. LED turns on. This code is valid. It works. Our test was great. Okay, but what if we want to turn it off? Well, we would do the same thing. Oops, capital W, digital write to LED 1, and let's turn it off with a low signal. Okay. Copy this code. Actually, I could just copy this one line. Put that in there. Oh, you saw it blink for a sec. Well, I don't want it to just blink that quickly. So what it's doing is it's turning on and then turning off so fast that I can barely see it. So we need to make it wait for a second. Well, good thing there's a command for that. It is called delay. And let's tell it to delay for 1000 milliseconds. So real quick, add a comment just to explain what I'm doing here. We want Arduino to leave LED on for 1 sec. Use delay command. The thing about the delay is it works in milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds would be 1 second. Okay, so in my code here, I'm just going to copy that down, delay, wait for 1000 milliseconds, we're good. Okay, here we go, start that up. You see, it's turned on for 1 second, and then off. Okay, cool. So, great, so we know that this works, but this will only turn it on and off once. I want it to blink forever. How do we do that? Well, that's where we do the loop. So the loop is the main section of code. So step, what are we on, 4? We will turn LED on and off in loop so that it keeps going forever. Hence the blinky boy. So in this case, all we need to do is basically redo what we did here. And naturally, because this is a loop, it's going to keep going. It's going to turn on, wait, turn off, turn on, wait, turn off, turn on, wait, turn off. Okay. So we could just basically copy and paste this. So copy, paste, and let's try that. See what happens. It looks like it's staying on forever. What's happening? Well, here's actually what's happening. So what the Arduino is doing, Arduino's, like all computers, run really, really fast. So it's reading this, it's saying, okay, turn on, wait, turn off, turn on, wait, turn off, turn on. So there's no pause between when it turns off and when it turns back on. If we want it to blink and be able to see that it actually turns off, we need to add another delay here. Okay. Is basically, it is turning off. It's just turning off so quickly that human eyes cannot see it. And apparently, the simulation can't pick it up either. So here we go. Oh, there we go. See? Now it's blinking. Yay, Blinky boy. Lovely. And so you would just upload that and you would get going on that. Nice. Good stuff.